Over the past few years, Jenna Ortega has become one of the most famous and most sought-after actors in Hollywood. Her biggest claim to fame is starring as the titular Addams Family character in Wednesday, which went on to become one of the biggest hits in Netflix history. That put her on the map on a massive level, allowing her to become a household name. Ortega has also become one of the top modern scream queens thanks to some standout roles in horror projects. She starred as Tara Carpenter in 2022 Scream and bucked the trend of a famous face dying in the opening scene. She survived and became a key character in the film and its impressive 2023 sequel, Scream 6. Since her breakout, Ortega has also gone on to add to her resume with roles in big projects like Beetlejuice, and she even hosted Saturday Night Live. However, with such a famous face, it's hard to think of the lesser-known projects in Ortega's career. Some are indie films that were well received, some are from before she became a star, and some are part of notable franchises that people may not have realized Ortega was part of. Together, they help make up a stellar career for the young star to date. 8 Iron Man 3, 2013. Everyone knows that Iron Man 3 is a film that exists. It grossed over $1 billion and is one of the biggest hits in the highest-grossing movie franchise of all time. However, it gets to be considered among Jenna Ortega's roles that people don't know about because you likely never realized she appears in the film. In fact, Ortega's role in the movie is actually uncredited. She appears in a small scene as the daughter of the vice president. It's a quick shot of her character, who is missing a leg and is part of the vice president's motivations for his actions. Ortega has explained that her lines were ultimately cut from the movie, so it's not a good film to check out if you want to see her act much. 7 Elena of Avalor, 2016 to 2020. Many are unaware that Jenna Ortega is an accomplished voice actor. She has lent her voice to 2 great TV shows for children, yet because we don't actually see her, people might not realize it's her. One of those projects is Elena of Avalor, a show that centers on the first Latina princess in Disney history. Elena of Avalor herself is voiced by Amy Carrero, while her sister, Princess Isabel, is voiced by Ortega. Isabel is an inventor and is a character who is smart, brave, and a big help to her sister. The show has been met with strong critical acclaim for almost every aspect, including how it broke new ground for Disney. 6 Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, 2020 to 2022. The other children's show where you can hear Jenna Ortega is Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. It's the first TV series in the Jurassic Park franchise and is set around the events of 2015's Jurassic World, following a group of kids who get trapped at the titular camp when dinosaurs break out. While the premise isn't far off from the rest of the franchise, this show stood out for the animation style and for the main characters being kids. Ortega voices Brooklyn, a travel vlogger who is part of the main cast. It's one of the most acclaimed projects in her filmography. 5 Insidious, Chapter 2, 2014. Like Iron Man 3, the Insidious franchise is another that's well known, yet can be considered among Jenna Ortega's unknown projects because people didn't know who she was yet. Insidious, Chapter 2 came out several years before she broke out and is actually the first film role of her career since Iron Man 3 was uncredited. In Insidious, Chapter 2, Ortega portrays Annie, the young girl who has the ability to see the spirit form of Elsie Rainier at the tail end of the film. It's not a big role, yet it's an important one that is fun to look back on now that Ortega is a star. For Studio 666, 2022. 2022 was a banner year for Ortega. That was when she first starred in Scream and Wednesday, as well as the year she appeared in T. West's well-received slasher, X. However, she has one other role from the year that deserves more appreciation, even if it's not a major performance. Studio 666 is a horror comedy that features the members of Foo Fighters playing versions of themselves who have to record a new album at a haunted mansion. In the film's opening scene, we see a flashback of a horrific scene involving members of a metal band. Ortega appears as the drummer, Psych, who gets to see the worst of it all. 3 Death of a Unicorn, 2025. It's kind of surprising that Death of a Unicorn wasn't a bigger hit. The film features some big names in acting, as Ortega is joined by Paul Rudd, Tia Leone, Will Poulter, Anthony Carrigan, and Richard E. Grant. That said, the wacky premise may have turned some viewers away. The film centers on Rudd and Ortega as Elliot and Ridley, a father-daughter duo with an uneasy relationship. While on a trip together, they hit a small unicorn with their car, setting in motion a wild series of events. You never know what's going to happen next in this incredibly creative film. 2 The Babysitter, Killer Queen, 2020. Netflix had a solid hit on its hands in 2017 when The Babysitter arrived. The horror comedy from McG is a blast, and as fun as it was, nobody really thought they'd get a sequel. It seems that people even forgot this happened or overlooked it completely, yet it's one of Ortega's best projects. The Babysitter, Killer Queen continues with the tone of the original, giving audiences more of what worked. It brings back the cast from the original, including Samara Weaving and Robbie Amell. Meanwhile, Ortega appears as a completely new character named Phoebe Atwell. She forms a bond with the protagonist and has ties to the original villain, making her an important part of this quality movie. 1. The Fallout, 2021. The best movie performance of Jenna Ortega's career came in The Fallout, and far too many people still don't know about it. It premiered in 2021 before hitting HBO Max in 2022. It was mostly ignored for a while before finding new life in early 2026 as the film shot up the streaming services charts. The Fallout follows Ortega's Veda as she and her friends deal with the aftermath of a tragic school shooting. The movie holds nothing back in its depiction of this horrible event, and it ends with a bang. When discussing the best work of Jenna Ortega's career, The Fallout must be mentioned near the top.